Ever since Resident Evil 8 came out, it feels like we've been getting a lot of leaks about Resident Evil 9, but today we may have actually got the first real bit of information about the game when unexpectedly Resident Evil 9 appeared for pre-order on a website called Play Asia. Now, the listing didn't give us a ton of information, but it does give us some hints as to what we might expect whenever Resident Evil 9 finally gets announced. For starters, the listing says the game's official title is Resident Evil 9 Revenant Shadows. And obviously, with it being a new entry, it will have a new story. However, looking at the preliminary cover for the game, it appears the main protagonist, or protagonists, I should say, could be Leon and Claire. Now, that's a big maybe on Claire, because looking at the girl, she does look a lot like Claire, but she very well could be somebody completely new as well. Along with the game cover giving us an idea of who the protagonist might be, the description of the game says that it will feature a fresh story, new characters, and returning of familiar faces, backing up the idea that we could be playing as Leon and Claire in this one. The description also mentions that Resident Evil 9 will be set in an expansive world filled with new threats and mystery, which is no surprise with recent leaks saying that Resident Evil 9 will be the largest game yet and could potentially be open world. That, paired along with the success of Resident Evil 8 and the remake of Resident Evil 4, makes it a no-brainer that the game should at least be semi-open world. However, that does raise the question as to whether the game will be first person or third person. If the game in fact features Leon and Claire, I could very well see it being in third person. However, I feel that if it was in first person, that would add a lot more, that would make the game that much more terrifying. Now, the last thing that I want to touch on about this latest leak is the cover of the game. Yes, this is preliminary, and I don't know if this was actually designed or if this was made by AI or not. However, if you look closely at the cover of the game on Leon's arm, there's appears to be some kind of mutated like flesh situation going on, and the weapon that he's carrying looks very different than weapons from other Resident Evil games. It gives me more of a Fallout or Borderlands vibe than something that I've come to expect from Resident Evil. And the same can also be said about the weapon that Claire is carrying as well. And if you look closely at the background on the cover, it also appears that they are standing in some kind of alley of what could be a deserted desert town, maybe. Maybe we could see the game set in an African map similar to that of Resident Evil 5, which would also make sense due to the fact that a Resident Evil 5 remake was posted up on the same website at the same exact time that the Resident Evil 9 was. So with all this being said, is there something in particular you are interested in seeing in Resident Evil 9? Or maybe there's something you don't want them to add into Resident Evil 9? Either way, let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.